You know what it is. Breaking news, man. Breaking news. Old Block 6 was convicted. Old Block 6 was convicted. And this is just to let everybody know what's going on. I'm sitting in Old Block right now, so y'all get a tour of Old Block with me. Sit back. Old Block 6 has been convicted. This is not a celebration. This is a sad time because we lost some soldiers in the war. This is not to big them up. This is not to none of that, because at the end of the day, they all got mothers, sisters, daughters, and now they're going to be out here without them from the choices that they made, similar to I made bad choices that cost me 26 years in federal prison. So that's why I said fallen soldiers. I was a fallen soldier. I poisoned the community. I did wrong, just like Old Block 6 did wrong. So you understand, I take full responsibility, and this is for the youth to understand that this is where we're going. Let's get this thing started. All right? All right, you know what it is. Unique Mecca Audio, man. I'm here. This is what we talk about at Unique Mecca Audio. We just try and bring the real. This is not to disrespect anyone. This is not to big anyone up. This is just to give y'all a real broadcast. This is Old Block 6 right here. This is Old Block that we on right now. You're getting a tour while we talk so you fully understand. Now, the young men were convicted, and I want to show you and let you listen to what Mama Duck had to say after the verdict.
How are you both feeling?
I'm feeling justice is served. I'm feeling like they did something so obviously crazy that they deserve to get caught. It was blazing for me. And when I go home and tell my grandkids that their father, justice has been served, that's going to be a big burden lifted off my shoulders. I just want to thank the United States government for doing a very good job on making sure that these guys would never hurt another mom or another child again. And yes, justice for Duck, and it has been served. Thank you. Lashena, L-A, capital S-H-E-E-N-A. Weekly, W-E-E-K-L-Y. Lashena Weekly. I'm his mom. I'm Carlton Weekly's mom.
And I'm Vaddy Weekly, V as in victory, A-D-D-I-E, Weekly, W-E-E-K-L-Y. Not daily or monthly, but weekly.
Thank you, guys.
Y'all have a blessed day. Justice for Carlton.
All right, so that's what it is, man. That was Carlton Weekly's mother speaking. She lost a child. Old Block 6 was convicted. Their parents also lost a child. I want y'all to understand how serious this is out here, that there is no winners. Don't get, as Malcolm X said, hoodwinked. We ran the streets. We did the best we could from the environment that we was raised in and the tools that they gave us around us, and we made the wrong choices. They also gave us the tools such as school, but we didn't take it serious. So that's why I'm telling the youngins, listen to this, take school serious. I didn't take school serious. I never learned to read and write until I wound up in 80X Supermax with life plus 20 on my back and locked in the cell 23 and 1. That means 23 hours a day I was in the cell. They let me out once a day, like you let a cow out to pasture to go walk around for an hour, come back in and then wait to milk them. You know what I mean? And that's all they did. They milked us of our youth. Look at me. I'm an old man now. I went in 29 years old. I came out 56 years old. So you understand. These young men was offered 50 years on a cop-out. Those that's 25, they coming out 65 at retirement age with no benefits because they didn't work a job to earn those benefits. I get no benefits. They took away my youth, is what I want you to understand. They're taking away their youth. Now, we have a lot of gang violence and a lot of violence and everything going on in our communities that, you know, I'm trying to help cure with my YouTube channel, and that's all it's about. It's not about bigging up nothing. It's just to give you the real, because I've been there, and hopefully this would deter the youth and the elders that's out there from wanting to go there. Now, let me speak on Old Block 6 for a minute and the situation, and then I'm going to go into, you know, the losses that everyone involved with the soldiers that was at war in the streets. And when I say at war, because that's what the government labeled us. They said it was a war on drugs. Now they're switching it. They used that to take 26 years of my life away. I brought a man up here that did 50 years. Went in at 19, came out at 69. Went in at 19, came out at 69. That's going to be these young men's future. So you understand. I brought a man up here yesterday, OG Steve, serving 108 years and then picked up a homicide within the prison, and now he's hoping to get 20 years and then hoping they run it together with the 108 years that we know that he's not going to be able to serve, but he's a soldier and a warrior, so he's fighting till his last breath to gain his freedom. They never thought I would gain my freedom to be standing here talking to y'all right now over here on Old Block, just so you understand. Now, in the Old Block 6 situation, they said that 2 of the defendants didn't use a gun. So you hear that and you think that, oh, they're going to get some play here. They're not going to get as much time. Then you heard one of the co-defendants, you know, was only charged with conspiracy to murder. So you say, oh, he didn't get the actual murder, so he's going to get less time. That's the hoodwinking they doing and playing these games, because conspiracy to murder carries life. Remember that. Conspiracy to murder still carries life. So whether they give them conspiracy to murder or the actual murder, it's still life, but they play these games to make it sound like a mitigating circumstance that'll make things, you know, less, you know, punishable, but it's not. And the 2 with the gun, let me explain to you how the gun worked. They said 2 of them didn't use the gun, but just by people saying that they always carry the gun, they get 2 points for that. I'm going to break that down in this video so you understand. Make sure if you not subscribed, I'm going to pause for a second so you can subscribe right now to my channel. Subscribe. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video, because everyone needs to see this video. I don't eat nobody's back out on my channel. Let me say that right off the rip. I just want y'all to understand the bad choices that we made. When our homies feel that it's something that was said that they don't like, no, it's not what was said that was don't like. It's the choices that we made. In other words, people said, oh, Unique is never coming home. He's buried. They gave him out life plus 20. He's never coming home. No one could get mad at that, because that was the choice that I made to wind up in that situation. Better choices, different outcome. And that's why I'm trying to let y'all see right here, where you could sit on YouTube and you could watch and see what is going on live and hear it from a man that was in hell and buried alive with life plus 20 with no chance of parole and served 26 years of prison. When they knocked on my door and said that I was free, I fell to my knees. My legs felt like something out of a cartoon was just shaking. Because I never expected that day to come. But I hoped and prayed for that day. And hope and prayer is stronger than expectations. Remember that. Now, FBG Duck, you know, he was killed in the Gold Coast area. So let's talk about the Gold Coast area. He was killed in the Gold Coast area. Every city has a Gold Coast area. Even the towns have a Gold Coast area. That's the main street in the town. That's where the Europeans could go and feel safe and bring their kids and wear their flip-flops in public and don't have to worry about anything. But then we got the young people from our generation that's still in the hoods like what I'm showing you behind me, and they're wearing flip-flops and they're not safe there because they're not policing it the same as they do the Gold Coast area. So that's why I say don't wear flip-flops in public, because you don't know when an op might see they ops and anything might break out, and you got your child with you, your woman with you, your mother with you, and you got on flip-flops. You can't protect them. That's why I'm so hard on flip-flops. I want to take my time to explain who I am and what this is. If you want to know who I am, more about me and more about where I came from, and if I'm qualified to speak on this, cop the book that's on the screen. If you need to see the physical copy, here it is. Cop the book Aurora in Harlem, and you'll see I made bad choices. I sold 25 kilos a day, poisoned my community. I ran the streets like a villain, like a bandit, like a wolf. And it cost me 26 years in federal prison. And I don't want you or your loved ones to have to go through that the same as I did. And that's what this video is about. Now, you do something in the Gold Coast area, it's a problem. I know y'all like when I ride, so let me ride right now. Let me ride. I'm going to tell you a little story, right? Back in the day, in the 70s, late 70s. I know a lot of y'all wasn't even born, but pay attention because it pertains to the day, because everything is in a 360-degree cipher. Let me put the pinky together so that, you know, the rat bastards and flip-flop wearing in public saying, oh, his pinky wasn't together, so it wasn't a complete cipher. Because these are the games they play on YouTube because they have no content. But let me get back to my riding. Back in the day, we had a block called 163rd Street between Broadway and Amsterdam. Everybody know that's where you go get powder cocaine. That's when it was a sniffing era and the heroin era. You go down to 116th Street, and that's the way it is. You see the way I'm riding? I take you a little bit of everywhere. I like Old Block. I'm riding to the little view at Old Block behind me. Now, 163rd Street is where you go buy the cocaine. You'll get your half a gram. You can even buy 3 grams. Let me break this down and give you all a little lesson. This is not the glorified, so you rat bastards, I'm going to give you 3 seconds to tap out my channel. All right, now, I'm going to teach you about a triple beam scale. I did not know my ABCs. I could not read when I was on the street, but I knew how to read a triple beam scale. A triple beam scale is the scales that got the 2 beams on the side, and in the middle, it got the weigher, you know, the scale. Now, with the triple beam scale, 10 lines is a gram. Every 10 lines on the triple beam scale is a gram. So when you go buy your Coke, you get 5 lines is a half a gram. You understand? So, and it was $10 a line. So that means it was $100 for a gram. Yes, $100 for a gram. Now you go in there and you got guys that'll take the line and move it over to like the second line where they're robbing you for 2 lines, which is $20. But if you go in and you don't know how to read the scale, all you go in and look for is where the line is at when the Coke is on the scale, and that is equal to the 5 lines for the half a gram or the 10 lines for the gram. You understand? But in the meantime, they done beat you for 2 lines, which is $20, so you get $80. You get $80 worth of cocaine for your money. You see how this is? But I had to learn how to do that because that's how I ate. I didn't learn how to eat with my ABCs because I didn't know that I was learning for 15 years in school or more in order to master the craft of the education that I've gotten. You understand? But I wanted to make sure dude didn't beat me for my 2 lines, so I had to learn how to read a triple beam scale, and I never had to worry about my ABCs, especially in New York City, because everything is in number streets. And that's why I love New York. That's why I love Miami, because when you go down to these places, they got numbers on the street corners, you know what I mean? Which was like numbers for dummies. You know, so somebody told me, meet me on 125th Street in Harlem and 8th Avenue. I go right to 125th and I go where 8th Avenue is at and they meet up. But now if somebody tell me in Virginia, meet me on Mercury Boulevard or meet me on Military Highway, I can't spell it. I don't know where it's at. I gotta wait till somebody take me there for the first time, then now I know where it's at and I can get back there because you already know we retain things from our memory. You understand? But 163rd Street, right? Because I'm riding, so, you know, pay attention. Now, 163rd Street, like I said, is where they had the cocaine at, right? So when the cocaine was there, it was only people from New York. Majority of the people from New York was the ones getting high, and coming from other ghettos in the boroughs was coming to 163rd. When the people in Jersey and Connecticut and Boston and New Hampshire and Maine and Philly, they found out that coke was only $50 for a half a gram, and it wasn't cut up too bad. You know what I mean? They would flock 163rd Street to get it. They had no problem with us selling cocaine on 163rd Street between Broadway and Amsterdam for the simple fact that we was only selling it to each other. The same as the mafia said, oh, send the heroin up there to Harlem, you know, and poison the niggas, you know, but don't sell it to our people. But when their people started coming from these suburban areas into Washington Heights to 163rd Street to buy cocaine and take it back to their suburban areas, and then they started robbing the houses in the suburban areas and bringing the stolen merchandise to 163rd Street. Now it's a problem because you tapped into the heart and soul of the suburbs. Poison your own. Keep it amongst your own, and we won't come in unless, like I said on my other video, violence and murder come in. That's when the feds come in. That's when it become a problem, because they don't have a problem with you doing anything illegal as long as you pay your taxes. And then you gotta submit and fall to their rule. That's what's happening right now with Diddy. Diddy wasn't succumbing to their rule. He got into the liquor business and he felt like he should be paid the same thing as everybody else is being paid that have a liquor brand. And they said, no, you're just a Negra that we allowed to come up here to use your face on our brand to push our poison to your people legally. Because prohibition is over and it's legal to sell alcohol now. Remember at one time in this country, alcohol was illegal. They called them bootleggers. Then the Kennedys figured out a way to sell it, you know, and give the government their taxes. So then they came up with Budweiser. You know what I mean? Now that's the Bud and who's the Weiser. You know, so now they pay taxes, now it's legal, and it's in every neighborhood. You got a liquor store in the hood. You go in the suburbs, you got to drive, you know, from one end of the town to the other to find liquor store. They might only be 2 or 3 liquor stores in a suburban area. You go in the hood and you got liquor store on every other corner. You see what I'm saying? Poison your own, leave us alone. But that's what the issue was. Back to where I'm at, because I don't want y'all to lose from the ride, because I got rat bastards that say, oh, you be deviating from the point. No, I'm giving jewels to add up to give you a full picture. Now let's ride, you know? Now, the Gold Coast area where FBG Duck was gunned down, so you understand, that was the problem. They came in and they said, oh, nah, we can't do that. You know what I mean? They done took it from our old block, you know, and brought it down here. Now we got to make an example so they know to never think or dream about bringing violence down in the Gold Coast area amongst us citizens. You see where I'm coming from with this? So now everything is good as long as you keep it, in your own hood away from, their children, and their elders. Now, right, the feds picked up the case. Somebody put in the comment, why did the feds pick up the case? I know the feds pick up cases when violence come in, but it's been plenty of violence in, Old Block area. But they still kept them in state court. But now when they came out of Old Block and hit the Gold Coast, now the feds want to come in. What I would say to that is, that's a good issue for them to raise on appeal, because I'm sure their lawyers raised it in the state district court before trial that the feds didn't have jurisdiction to pick up the case. And I don't see a reason why they had to pick up the case, because the feds only get involved when it's interstate commerce, meaning the drugs or the gun came from another state. That's how BG's co-defendant wound up talking himself from a 2 or 3 years to the 6 years that he decided to say he didn't want to do, because he was expecting to do 2, because he said that his girl gave him the gun in Houston and he brought the gun across state line to Louisiana. Bingo! Now they got a federal case. So now instead of 2 years in the state, now the feds got their mandatory minimum that is 60 months. You know what I mean? Which is over 5 years. And that's what blew his mind. So you could understand where I'm at with this. So now, the feds even have it where when you're going to trial in a federal case, all they have to do is put on a witness to say you always had a gun. Once they say you always had a gun, you carried a gun. You don't have to be caught with the gun, arrested with the gun, no picture with the gun, no video with the gun, just word of mouth that you carried a gun. Then you get what they call a 2-point enhancement for that. Like I said, I'm going to get back to that in a minute, so fall back and just let me ride. You know what I mean? So now, right, the Old Block 6 have an appeal. They could go and put in what they call a direct appeal, which is to 3 judges, because when they put in their motions, it went in front of one judge, the judge that was trying their case. Now they blew that trial. That means they lost the trial. Blue mean lost. Pay attention. So now they blew trial, and now they're going to get a direct appeal. So now it goes in front of 3 judges, and every issue, 2 out of 3 have to agree with either the state or the government in order to make a ruling on what it is. So now they're going to bring it up there in front of 3 judges saying that the federal police didn't have jurisdiction to even bring the case in the federal court because they're from Chicago, born and raised, and they went from one block in Chicago to another block and committed a crime with a gun that was already in Chicago, unless someone said that they got the gun from out of state. You see where I'm at with this? So that's where appeal come in, and that's where technicalities, where they can beat the case or whatever and come out, But now, so that's where that go. Chicago, to give you an example, right? Chicago is setting an example. They're setting an example that you don't mess around in the Gold Coast area. You don't mess around where the white people at. Keep the violence and the murder amongst yourselves, because sooner or later, these beautiful buildings you see behind us, that's being terrorized, as they call it, by the locals that live in there. They're going to come up with a way to put all of them out and get that area so that they can bring their people that go to the Gold Coast to peacefully live in there without them. That's what you call regentification. So they're coming to Chicago. That's a good place to invest money in right now, anything in Chicago, because they're getting ready to make a power move. That's why they're letting all this go, and they're going to say it's out of control now. We got to bring the federal government in Old Block. When they do that, they take everybody out of Old Block, lock up all the youth, the elders, and the super elders, the grandparents that was there, that tried to tell us, to go to school, get an education, and live a law-abiding life. Then, like they did in New York, because New York got a law. Imagine you do 5 years in jail. You go home and you're on parole and they say you're not allowed to smoke weed, and you go home, you go stay with your grandmother because your grandmother come let you stay with her in the projects, and you in there with your grandmother and you smoking weed, and the police come and they smell weed, they knock on the door, they charge you for smoking weed in the door, but they don't charge you, they charge your grandmother because she owns the apartment, and then they tell your grandmother, now we're going to have to evict you because you had drugs in the apartment when she been there for 40, 50 years, but her grandchild was just sitting there smoking weed, or whatever he was doing in there, but they're going to hold her responsible because they want to take her off the lease because she's not breaking the law. So they got to make a law to get that space from her so they can bring in people from the Gold Coast. You see where this is at? See how educational this is? That's why the Cash App is on the screen. I don't care if it's $5, $10, whatever. If not, just make sure you subscribe and share this video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. That's all I ask. I know y'all like the content. And give me a little emoji or something. Hey, you know? But now, so that's where that go. Now, let me break down how the sentencing worked for these brothers from the old Block 6. The way the sentencing worked for old Block 6, right? Now, they got what they call a pre-sentencing report. That's a PSR. P for pre, S for sentencing, R for report. But it's also called investigation. Pre-sentencing investigation because they're investigating you, your criminal history, your present crime, and everything else to determine what your sentence should be. And this is where it gets crazy. They have a parole officer, a probation officer that will come and interview you about your past, you know, your childhood, you know, your upbringing, your education, your mental health trauma, and everything else. That's the probation officer, right? But mind you, they offer them 50 years on the cop out. They're going to get a life. Let's hope not, you know. But they know that they're not going to have a parole because they don't expect them to get out. Do you see where I'm going with this? And the parole officer works for the government. And the government is who's sentencing you. So whatever you tell the probation officer when you get your pre-sentencing report, whatever you tell them, they're going to twist it up and blow it out of proportion to make it look like blah, blah, blah. Have you ever noticed that nobody wins that argument that they was temporarily insane or mentally ill or under the influence? Never. They don't do that. That's because you have two sides. You have the government, you have the defense. The government is saying that you ain't crazy. Your defense is saying you're all crazy. They let the government get their, investigator, to investigate the situation, and they give their assessment, and then you get your lawyer to do an assessment, and 9 times out of 10 people don't have a paid lawyer. They go to public defender, so they don't even have nobody to refute what the government is saying. So then, boom, you caught up. Now, all of a sudden, you already know you ain't crazy. You're going to take this 100 years. You're not going. Only one I know did that was the white dude that, I think his name was John Hinckley. Yeah, I think he shot Reagan or something like that. But they kept him in a mental hospital for like 20-something years, 30 years, and now he's free. But these guys, they want to give them life with no chance of parole, and they're young, so they can't be rehabilitated. I was young. I am rehabilitated. They can be rehabilitated. But you give them life at 80 years, 90 years, like my man OG Steve was up here 108 years, got that at 20-something years old, so he's supposed to be 130 when he get out. No, he's not going to live it, so that means there was no room for rehabilitation. The whole thing was to warehouse them in their prison and get a solid check for them daily and, put the stocks up on Wall Street. That's a whole nother video. I might bring somebody up here to break down the financial benefits, for the government and the investors for, building private prisons, because that's a big booming business. So now, that's the pre-sentence investigation. That's the PSI. So the PSI tells you everything that happened, but then they have enhancements that give you the amount of time you're going to get. The enhancements, that's what decide your time, the enhancements. So now, these young men, they got what they call, if you use the gun. If you use the gun, you get a 2-point enhancement. They don't even have to prove it because you wasn't charged with it, didn't go in front of the jury, didn't have nothing to do with that. But, you know, someone testified that you always carried a gun. Like, you know, people testified that I carried 2 guns on me at all times, a 9mm and a Smith & Wesson, you know. Never been arrested with it, never been charged with it. But I got enhanced 2 points for it, which came up to like an extra 10 years. You know, I mean, to go to my life plus 20. But those are the games they played. That's the enhancement. Then they got the real crazy enhancement that they put to keep the youth off the street and shoot them right into the penitentiary. You got the enhancement for your age. Now, the age thing starts like if you under 25 or under 30, you know, you automatically start off at 8 points for your age. If you're under 30, you got 8 points. The points come from you need 24 points to go to a penitentiary, right? So this is how the points work. You get 8 points, you know, for your age if you're under 30. So you're starting off at 8 out of 24. You understand? So you only got 16 more points. So then they turn around and then they say if you was in a gang, now you got 14 points. The 8 and the 14 is 22. So now you're already at 22 points for your age and just for being in a gang or affiliated with a gang. And then they look at, you know, your criminal history. 9 times out of 10, they know you already been arrested. So your criminal history, it moves over and works like the scale I told you about in, you know, my previous video that, you know, it's a square. They got 6 squares on the top because your category goes to 6. That's the highest you could go to in your criminal history. And then on the side goes to, you know, your drug amounts or your violence or whatever, you know, it all goes down the side. So let's say, you know, you've been arrested 3 times and, you know, and with those 3 times you was arrested, that takes you, you know, over to level 3, right? So you put your hand on the number 3, and then you go and see what they gave you over here on the right, and you bring it down to where it go, and then you bring it over until they both meet, and that's what tells you your sentence. The judge don't even have a say in that, and that's how they got us. The way they got us for the crack era is the same thing they doing now. They just revamped it to get the gang, you know, violence, because they broke us and taught us about selling crack, you know, bury you in prison. So now our children was out here by themselves while we was in prison because we dropped the ball, and now they're committing violence and got access to guns. There's just as much guns out there as cocaine was back in the day. It's so easy to get a gun now. Back in the day, we had to go all the way to Virginia, find a crackhead or a dope fiend, give them $100, take them in a pawn shop, let them buy a gun with their license, and get the gun, and you drive it back to New York. It was that simple. Nowadays, you could walk out your building and buy a gun anywhere. You know, you see what I'm saying? And then they got these gun laws that they bury you with time. So now we're talking about the points. 14 points for being in the gang, 8 points for your age, that's 22. 2 points for carrying a gun, that's automatic 24. So that shoots these young children. But they're not children of them when they break the law. But they're children when they could use it to put someone in jail. The same way they say, Cassie was just a child. You know, she's the same age as these young men. But they're not calling these children childs. You understand? So this is where we're going. So now, that's how the criminal history go. So that's where that go. But I want you to understand that we lost a lot of fallen soldiers during this time, man. And everyone takes a loss. Everyone takes a loss. Mama Duck took a loss. She's a mother, you know. Rest in peace to Duck. Rest in peace to King Vaughn. Rest in peace to Big Jook. Rest in peace to Young Dolph. These are all soldiers, man. Their children is growing up without them. Their mothers lost a son. My mother lost my brother. Rest in peace to my brother Khalif, a.k.a. Peter, just so that you understand. That's how this thing go. You know, we're all soldiers in this war, and there's no winners. Either you get life in prison like I got, or you wound up getting murdered like my brother got murdered and the other fallen soldiers that I mentioned. And I don't want anyone to think that I don't come up here and pick sides. I don't get into none of that. The side that I'm on is the black side. It's the side for us to come together and us to stick together. It's not a side of me saying that I'm riding with one fraction and not the other fraction. No, we all want and we have to unite because it's really us against them, but they got it now where we think it's us against us. And that's what I'm hoping the youth is catching from what I'm saying right now. Now, Mama Duck is going through life without her son. Old Block 6 members, mothers, is going through life without their sons. You see how everybody loses with the street? And that's why I say don't get involved in the street. Look how nice these buildings look behind me. Could you imagine all that is going on over there? But that's because of how they made their environment and the culture. And that's so sad. That's so sad. And that's what this is about that I'm, doing. I might do something on it later. I might even do a live. Put in the comments if y'all want me to do a live. I don't really like to do the lives because, the rat bastards and flip-flop wearing and public trolls, you understand what I'm saying? They don't even move me. But I mean, I don't even like to give them a platform, but, they subscribe till they come. And let me say this so y'all understand. If you say something stupid in my comment, if you say some rat shit in my comment, I will remove you from the channel. I got 75,000 subscribe plaque yesterday from YouTube that I'm at 75,000. And then I woke up this morning, I'm at 77,000. Got another 2,000 last night. And people trying to get monetized. And they wonder why they're not getting monetized. You're not getting monetized because you're trying to come out and you're trying to talk about other people, talk about yourself, or talk about something positive to use YouTube to uplift your people. And they will listen. You just have to take time and let it grow. Do you understand the words that are coming out my mouth? You don't need to come up here and eat nobody back out. You definitely don't need to do that. The moral of this is we have a chance to talk to our people worldwide and get paid for it. But where I was getting at with that is because, I'll be riding. I'll be riding. Where I was getting with that is that I got 77,000 subscribers. I had over 100,000 subscribers. But I deleted the rat bastards and flip-flop wearing in public trolls as they come. I would have been had the 100,000 showed up on my YouTube. I don't need the 100,000. Let me get rid of these 30,000 rat bastards and just focus on dealing with the 77,000 that wants the jewels that I'm giving and respect the game that is supposed to be sold and not told because it saves your life. Follow me on Instagram. My Cash App is on the screen. You know what time it is. Cop my book of Raw in Harlem. If you got something that you want me to speak on, send it to me in a link. My phone number is on the screen. 917-680-9091. I answer the phone. Plenty of people know it because they surprised when they answer it. If you got an issue with something I'm saying, I'm giving you my permission to call me and confront me about it as a man, and we talk about it as men or, women. It depends who's calling. And we talk sensibly. And if something that I said you don't like, if I was wrong, I will apologize if I was wrong. I will apologize if I was wrong. But don't call my phone because wrong nigga. You know what I mean? Wrong nigga. We don't do all that. You know what I mean? I'm from the era where you get two to the head. You know what I mean? When it gets heated like that. And I'm not trying to get two to the head, not trying to get nobody two to the head. I'm just trying to give them jewels to the head. You follow what I'm saying? Let's work together with this. So if it's something, a topic or whatever, send me a link, send me a news article, send me whatever you want me to speak on. Call me and tell me, Unique, I don't like what you said about such and such. And we'll talk about it as adults. I'm not going to scream on you. I'm not going to call you out your name. And, you definitely not going to call me out my name because I have the power to block you and you have the power to delete me from your channel. You came to my channel by choice. You're here by choice. so we could talk together by choice. Now, I've been on here long enough, man, so, let me tap out, man. And remember, once again, man, cop the book of Roy in Harlem. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe, man. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. That's all I'm asking, subscribe. And follow me on Instagram. It's on the screen, Unique Mecca Audio. And you already know the Cash App is on the screen. Make sure you hit the logo and it say it was created in 2020. Let's get this thing rolling. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime. Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca Audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spin a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, you we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend the air. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community yours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the root men.